I love SpongeBob, and who doesn't? Almost everyone in existence does. Over the years, Nickelodeon made so many SpongeBob specials. Some good, some bad, or they were just Legends of Bikini Bottom. Today I'll be talking about Legends of Bikini Bottom, because out of all the specials that Nickelodeon released for SpongeBob, this was the weirdest. Mainly because this was one of the only anthology specials that this show had. Well, there was this and One Way Road Trip. Remember that? In the dark ages of SpongeBob, Nickelodeon would often force the writers to rush and make weird episodes for the show. And it kind of shows.
SpongeBob, it's just a little splinter. I mean, how bad could...
And then the writers got their revenge by making SpongeBob You're Fired. Prove me wrong! It's not like anyone was willing to work on that. The Legends of Bikini Bottom is one of the many weird episodes from that era that not many people talk about. And it's kinda understandable as to why. Now, with all that being said, let's go. Did you know? This anthology series of episodes had a original special intro produced for it that only aired in 2011 and was left out of the DVD release. It's just Patchy the Pirate getting the Legends of Bikini Bottom books so he can tell Potty a bedtime story. Meaning that these episodes are not canon. And the small continuity is a bit non-existent, so I don't give a shit. For all I know, these episodes are just Patchy's weird fan fictions or something.
Are you ready?
I'm ready to throw up from all this rocking!
On with the legends! This first one is a real...
Yeah, in this episode, there's a monster that comes to the Bikini Bottom. Wow guys, you spoiled the episode in the title. The big reason why the monster is here is because Patrick accidentally stole the top of a toxic waste container, causing it to create this weird barnacle monster named Rarg. And the monster destroying everyone's house. I'm not kidding. This shit destroys Patrick's house, Squidward's house, and SpongeBob's house, while Gary was still in there. Meaning that Rarg almost committed murder in this damn children's show. Fortunately, Gary jumps out and survives its fell of a parachute. Then the police show up and trap Rarg in a fence that he can easily escape from. Then after a cop sneezes, Rarg runs away. Then the cops catch up to him and Patrick shows up out of nowhere and says something random that causes the cops to cry. But that wasn't enough to keep Rarg in town.
Crushes my heart to see him go.
Yeah, crushes. Patrick, crushes! That gives me an idea!
Then it cuts to SpongeBob the Krusty Krab calling for some ice, revealing that Rarg and Patrick are now at Ice Cap Zone. And then they throw some ice to a Krusty Krab customer's cup from miles away. Then the episode ends. What? From the title, you would think that Rarg would go on an evil rampage, but he just does some random shit with Patrick. Dark Ages Patrick, because all they're doing is just childish crap.
Hey, you want to smell my armpit?
This best sums up Patrick's character going forward. The police officers, they're the dumbest cops on earth. All they do to keep Rarg from destroying more houses is to put a fence around him. And then they're suddenly surprised that Rarg easily escapes from them. A regular sized fence to them is not a regular sized fence to him. Plus the ending of this episode sucks. It tries to be like Family Guy by having a cutaway that's mid, and then in the end of the episode, SpongeBob solves the problem that was in the cutaway. Somehow this makes modern Family Guy cutaways look like masterpieces, because at least they don't use it as a plot device. Plus the fact that it ends with Patrick and Rarg living in Ice Cap Zone is just something that doesn't make sense. Like Patrick's speech. Why in the hell was it rushed? At least the good part of this episode is Squidward. Only appears one time in this episode, and that's the only time I laughed.
I like that what?
That big scary monster inside the fence over there.
He likes you!
He likes officer.
episode about?
The Bermuda Triangle.
No, this has to be good. No, it wasn't. This shit was mid. The episode's about everyone in the Bikini Bottom losing their stuff, like Gary's shells, Squidward's carrot neck, and Patrick's cufflinks, thanks to the fog from the
Bermuda Triangle.
This also causes Mr. Krabs to go missing, with Squidward and SpongeBob looking for him, and this happens.
Is that a mermaid song?
No, just a thick, eerie fog.
Uh-oh.
And obviously they get transported into
The Bermuda Triangle.
Shut the fuck up, Woody. They then find Mr. Krabs and that one buff background character. And Mr. Krabs explains to him how the Bikini Bottom Triangle works. Pretty much how this shit happens is that there's mermaids that sing a song and it causes shit to come out of a giant vacuum cleaner. I'm not kidding, that's how it happens. Then the mermaids sing again, causing more crowds to appear on the island. Well, that and Patrick and Pearl.
Patrick, is that a Krabby Patty?
Get me out of this trash heap!
Then Krabs sends SpongeBob and Patrick to look for mermaids, and Patrick is simping. He's simping so hard.
You go ahead, SpongeBob. I'm gonna hang with the ladies for a bit.
Then the mermaids tell SpongeBob that there's no way home, because the mermaids don't know this shit. Then they turn to tell SpongeBob that there's no way home. And this pisses off Krabs, and then when he goes to hear the news for himself, he ends up whining like a bitch, which is a little bit hilarious. Then Pearl walks in and demands to go to the mall, even though she's in the Bikini Bottom Triangle, aka the Bermuda Triangle. Does she remember where in the hell she is? Then the mermaids ask what a mall is, because the mermaids never been to the actual Bikini Bottom. Pearl tells them that a mall is a place where you can get stuff. And this makes the mermaids excited and want to go to the mall. Was this made before Amazon Prime was a thing? Then SpongeBob figures out how to get back to the Bikini Bottom, so the girls can go shop, with that being the mermaids having to sing their song backwards. And this works. The girls can go to the mall and everyone gets their stuff back.
Tibor, you're alive!
The end. What the hell was this episode? The Bikini Bottom Triangle is just a big landfill. I can understand that not everyone can do What's Up on Deck and Futurama did with their Bermuda Triangle episodes, but this one is just lame. The logic here just makes no sense. Like a giant vacuum cleaner just sucking up shit. Could have easily just said vortex in its place and it would have made more sense. I don't like the mermaids. The personality traits are that they're basic teenage girls like Pearl. I feel like the only reason why the mermaids are here is so Patrick can sing. And that's the only times I laugh, because Patrick doesn't really sing. I actually like Mr. Krabs in this episode. Hell, this is one of the only times in the ufology I don't think he's a prick. The man literally saves SpongeBob from dying of starvation.
What's the matter, boyo? Your Krabby Patty meter's on empty. Please, great vacuum cleaner. Krabby Patty.
He also thinks that Plankton took the Krabby Patty formula, and then when they get back to the Krusty Krab, it turns out that the old sailor man, Charles, was the one that made the patty that Krabs prayed for. Hell, he literally trapped Plankton in a jar, which is funny to me that Krabs would worry that much. You should know that Plankton is a little bitty shit. Plus, Patrick finding his cufflinks is just the most what the hell ending ever. Other than that, this episode is just mid. If you want to watch a better Bermuda Triangle episode, just watch the Futurama and Sweet Life episodes.
Squidward, quit messing around. We gotta find Mr. Krabs! Gumball!
In this episode, Krabs refuses to serve an old hagfish, played by Kristen Wiig for some reason. So SpongeBob goes and sneaks her some Krabby Patties because he felt bad for her. Then Krabs finds out and takes the burgers away from her, causing her to put a curse on the Krusty Krab out of anger. First, Krabs doesn't really think much of it, and then this shit happens.
Big money!
This causes Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob to go to the hagfish to get rid of the curse, leading them to go to the cave of the giant golden eel to steal his gold doubloon. And they were successful at getting the doubloon, so the curse gets lifted.
There you go, the curse is lifted.
A closed sign?
Well, I guess Mr. Krabs is that stupid. Then when everything seems like it's back to normal, the giant golden eel comes out of the ground and destroys the Krusty Krab. Yeah, I think Madam Hagfish is still pissed. Honestly, this episode just gives you more reasons to like SpongeBob but hate Mr. Krabs. It's sweet that SpongeBob tries to give Hagfish some food, but Krabs, he did this to himself. It kind of pisses me off that Hagfish makes a cameo in the season 13 episode Captain Pigstreet as a villain alongside characters that are villains. All the woman wanted was some food, and Krabs' cheapness was just pissing her off. Then Krabs went to her for help and he whines like a baby, even though all she did was put a damn close sign in front of his restaurant. So is Eugene Krabs really that stupid? Well, there was a plate on the ceiling and it falls and almost burns down the restaurant. Did he put that there? Probably. He's literally the same person that destroys his own restaurant because he wanted more drive-thrus.
More drive-thrus! More money!
Squidward is just the highlight of the episode. The fact he's the smartest character in this episode and he just leaves and everything just goes to shit is just really hilarious to me. Other than that, this episode, it's just mid.
This is Boomerang from Cartoon Network. We now return to Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
This episode, Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob the story of the main drain, and this causes them to want to know more about it. So they ask Plankton and fake Old Man Jenkins, but unfortunately, they don't get their answers. So they go to look for it for themselves, and after a while, they find it. The main drain. Then Plankton and Mr. Krabs show up at the last minute to stop them, or mainly Patrick, from pulling the main drain, revealing that when him and Mr. Krabs were two ding-dongs, that they originally pulled the plug, and that they didn't want SpongeBob and Patrick to make that same mistake, which is sweet. Then Patrick ruins the moment by pulling the plug, causing the Bikini Bottom to be sucked out of existence.
That's the most realistic story I've ever heard.
Other than the ending, I actually enjoyed this episode. I like that Krabs and Plankton lied about the drains so SpongeBob and Patrick were forked up like them. Forked up. Why can't I say fork? Damn it! Patrick just ruins the moment by pulling the plug. And it doesn't really matter because this just turns out to be a bedtime story that SpongeBob tells Patrick so he can go to sleep. Meaning that this is a story within a story within a story. But that doesn't save Patrick from being the worst part of the episode, because it's season 6 Patrick. Either way, he's too stupid to tell what would destroy Bikini Bottom. Other than that, I enjoyed watching this episode because the story isn't crap. It's decent. Plus Squidward's here too, and he's crushed by Patrick's rock. Bro, you could have just replaced Squidward with anyone else and that scene would have changed.
Road trip! Woo!
All that happens in this episode is that SpongeBob and Patrick fall into some backwoods redneck town and are taken by some rednecks. Then the episode just turns into them doing challenges so the rednecks won't kill them, and they somehow manage to win, causing the rednecks to want them to stay and take care of their ugly ass grandma. Then SpongeBob and Patrick run all the way to the Krusty Krab because they don't want to take care of the ugly ass grandma, and the rednecks somehow manage to keep up and follow them. And then the episode ends with the rednecks eating Krabby Patties and forgetting what they wanted to do to SpongeBob and Patrick. Well, Mrs. Krabs gets married. Yeah, this ending is shit. The story is just too basic. Like many episodes in this era, it suffers from season 6 syndrome. With the beginning of the episode just being SpongeBob and Patrick joint fishing like two idiots for a couple minutes. As for the redneck town, it looks like nowhere from Courage the Cowardly Dog, but if Muriel and Hustis decided to have a shit ton of kids. And the rednecks themselves look really ugly. All of them had these weird, dull, soulless eyes that make them look worse compared to the other characters. Even Rarg the Barnacle Monster looks more appealing in this. Most of the rednecks don't really have much of a personality, and that they're also racist towards SpongeBob and Patrick.
You boys is mighty colorful, a smidgen too colorful if you ask me.
Yeah, that happens. Plus the rednecks are just pricks. They literally just make SpongeBob and Patrick do challenges because they want to kill them. And then when SpongeBob and Rick pass the challenges, they straight up tell them that they're not a caretaker of the grandma. And the grandma is a creepy bitch. I'm not alone on this one. Even mr.krabs agrees on this. The fact that they forced Eugene to marry her is just messed up. And that's what I think about this episode. It's messed up. At least Squidward is the best part of this episode. The fact that he exists in this episode is just amazing. Plus, I really like this joke.
Well, it's now or never.
This is literally the only time I laughed while watching this episode. Finally here, an episode where Squidward isn't a side character. I hate this. In this episode, Squidward is tired of his life. Seriously, that's how the episode starts. With Squidward being a pessimistic prick that hates everything.
Your teeth chatter. Your hat annoys me.
Well, things can't possibly get any worse. A volcano erupts, causing lava to get into the Krusty Krab, causing people to leave and go to the volcano shelter. Then Bubbles, Dr. Blowhole, some ancient warrior shows up and tells the citizens of the Bikini Bottom how to stop the volcano. With the warrior telling them the only way to do it is to sacrifice the most miserable person. And this makes everyone turn on each other, and this causes Squidward to leave.
But Squidward, nothing! I think I'd rather take my chances with the volcano!
After this, everyone in Bikini Bottom takes Squidward to the volcano so he can die. Squidward begs not to be dropped, but the mayor doesn't give a shit. Then SpongeBob shows up at the last minute and offers to be thrown in the volcano instead of Squidward. The mayor agrees because he's a piece of shit. Then Squidward falls, grabbing onto a log, hanging on for dear life, and asks for help, causing SpongeBob to save him from his Now Squidward appreciates everyone for saving his life, until the pipe under his house bursts and causes his house to fly into the volcano. Then this break returns, saying that it was supposed to be the most miserable person's house that was supposed to be in the volcano, instead the person themselves. This makes Squidward angry, but going back to saying that he has nothing to be grateful. Then it cuts to him and SpongeBob in bed, revealing that SpongeBob is letting Squidward stay with Squidward being ungrateful as the episode ends. This episode makes me hate Squidward. His only personality trait here is that he hates everything and that he's miserable. I think that's mainly because of the writers. I think it's mainly the writers' fault because I don't think the writers from the Dark Age era of SpongeBob just don't understand the characters, and this causes characters like Patrick and Squidward to become fandorized, with Patrick becoming dumber and Squidward becoming more and more grouchy, which gets annoying after a while. In the beginning of the episode, I honestly wanted to beat the shit out of Squidward because he literally bursts his own pipe and refuses help from Spongy Boy. And he straight up whines about everyone he hates in the Krusty Krab. Then when the volcano erupts, this stupid ass dolphin voiced by Deep Drowning Baker tells everyone that the most miserable person should be sacrificed. And everyone in Bikini Bottom was willing to kill Squidward just so the madness can stop. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, I know I said that Squidward was annoying here, but killing him? Don't you fishes have any mercy? Then when he's hanging on the cliff saying that he appreciates his life, I felt that the episode was actually starting to pick up and that it wasn't gonna be shit after all. And then of course, SpongeBob saves his life and his house gets lodged in a volcano. Then Squidward tells SpongeBob that he lied about all that shit and that he isn't grateful for anything because he just became homeless. Then SpongeBob lets Squidward stay with him, and Squidward doesn't appreciate anything. This bitch would have easily left Squidward to die on the street. But SpongeBob actually cares about Squidward. Hell, he's the only person in this episode that actually cares about him. because everyone else wanted him to die. What is wrong with you, Squidward? I just don't understand. One parts I actually liked about this episode was when SpongeBob saved Squidward and SpongeBob's fart song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm sorry, but I think it's funny that a grown man or woman that probably went to college was like, this song needs some farts. Plus, the lyrics are not the best, but they're a bit deep. Oh, I got an all new attitude. A white side subscription to gratitude. Friend, you gotta change your attitude. Have an attitude of gratitude. Yeah, this is stuff that we all should do. We should all be grateful about our lives and the fact that we didn't die yet. But I'm not thankful for this episode. After watching all these episodes, I just question why in the hell they exist. The only episode I genuinely enjoyed watching was the main dream. As for the other episodes, they're all watchable, but they're either mid or just really bad. With the worst ones being Curse of the Hex, Trenchbillies, and Sponge-Cano. To be honest, Welcome to the Bikini Bottom Triangle and the Monster That Came to the Bikini Bottom are bad episodes, but they're not as bad as Hex, Trenchbillies, and Sponge-Cano. I had some enjoyment out of Bikini Bottom Triangle even though it was basic as hell, and Monster was just nothing and something at the same time. That's literally how I can describe it. Hex is literally Mr. Krabs being stupid by not noticing a freaking close sign, which makes the episode feel unnecessary. Same thing with Sponge-Cano, but much worse because the Dolphin Warrior is just a prick. Squidward's a prick. Mr. Krabs is a prick. The citizens of the Bikini Bottom are pricks. With the only likable character here being SpongeBoy Me Bob, because he wasn't really annoying and he also didn't try to kill Squidward. Then there's Trenchbillies. Why? Like, seriously, why? Rednecks are not mythical or a thing of legend. They're just racist and dumb. Plus, this episode just serves no purpose, other than to make jokes about damn rednecks. As for the DVD release, it was fine. The shorts were okay, and the menu... it made me want to cry. Plus, for some reason on the DVD, Main Drain and Hex, despite being on the same half of the episode block, were separated. With Main Drain, the episode's B-side, being placed after Monster and Bikini Bottom Triangle, and Hex, the A-side, being placed as the last episode in the order instead of Sponge-Cano. I guess this is because they wanted to match the order from when it was aired, but all the episodes were actually featured on DVD first in 2010 in the US before they were supposed to air in 2011. So what was the point?
Money!
Shut up, bitch. Overall, this anthology special is not only mid, but literally has no purpose of existing. Yeah, sure, there's some good episode concepts in there, but being made in the era of season 6 through half of 9, it's inevitable that it's gonna end up being trash. This has been Alberto, and let me know in the comments if you want to see more SpongeBob content. I know the last video was a Sonic video. I just want to, like, you know, not just make Sonic content. You know, like, I want to make more than just Sonic content, guys. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.